You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, B&B fans. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I've got a huge update. Hot new official spoilers on Ridge Forrester say that he's the one who gets to decide if Eric Forrester lives or dies. And that seems really bizarre to me, given their past, that Eric would entrust his life to Ridge, but maybe it's not his life, but his death he's entrusting to him. I'll explain why, but before we dig in, please click subscribe so you don't miss a thing. All right, let's talk about this. So it turns out that in that will and the other documents that Eric Forrester just updated, he gave Ridge Forrester his medical power of attorney. That seems insane for a couple of reasons. Just off the top of my head, he's not the oldest Forrester son. Thorne is, and Thorne's in town. Why are we putting this in Ridge's hand? Well, that comes to the second insane reason. Ridge unplugged Eric from life support a few years ago, actually more than a few. Several years ago, and his dad was angry with him about it in the aftermath. Do you guys remember that? So it was back in 2008. Donna and Eric were married at the time, and he was taking Viagra to put some heat in his meat, but while they were boinking, he had a heart attack. I think that also caused a brain hemorrhage. At any rate, he wound up in a coma, like he's going to be this week as well. And Ridge actually did unplug his dad's respirator. And that was after trying to strong-arm Donna to hand control of Forrester Creations over to him and Brooke, even though Eric was married to Donna and she had his power of attorney, not Ridge. And it came down to this big battle, and she fought with him, and she ended up taking over as CEO. Thankfully, that was 15 years, 16, can't do the math, 15 years ago. Thankfully, Eric survived it, but then he confronted Ridge later in 2008, calling him disloyal for pulling the plug. Luckily enough, he didn't die. But later, Eric demanded that his son explain his actions, and Ridge said, "I heard your voice saying, let me go. I don't want to be like this." And Eric's like, that wasn't me. That was you, justifying it. So while it does seem strange, I guess, if Eric really wants to know that the person he left in charge will truly pull the plug on him, then I guess Ridge is the right person because he's done it before. So, again, I just don't understand why not giving the power of attorney to his oldest son, his biological son, Thorne, who is in town. And, of course, that might not stop Ridge from flipping the switch because he did not have the medical power of attorney last time and did it anyway. So this time, with the legal documents in hand, Ridge has free reign to do whatever he wants with his dad's life, and that's kind of scary. So the official spoilers for this week and possibly heading into next is that Eric is hanging on by a thread hooked up to machines that are keeping him alive. So spoilers say that we're going to get a little scene before he was put on life support. It didn't happen on Friday, but Eric's going to whisper to Ridge at some point before he, completely goes. And here's what he says: if things go south, let me go. When you think it's over for me, pull the plug. And Eric definitely knows Ridge is a plug puller. So Ridge is going to tell the rest of the family, who are all fighting to keep Eric alive. And I don't know if it's going to be met with skepticism, because basically the doctors are trying to figure out if there's a way to save him. Meanwhile, Ridge is creeping closer and closer to, that switch. So what's interesting to me also in these spoilers is that even Brooke is fighting Ridge on unplugging Eric in coming days. And that's nice because generally she condones and enables everything that Ridge does. And the rest of the family is united, saying he can't do it. Brooke will be joining that chorus of voices. And Ridge is in the position of basically saying, look, Dad told me what he wants, and that's what I'm going to do. But the spoilers also say Ridge does take to heart what the others in the family say and their arguments on not jumping the gun on taking away his life support. Of course, Ridge doesn't want his dad to die, but if he thinks that Eric's life is going to be nothing but him lying there unconscious, basically a vegetable with machines breathing for him. That's that question, that big question, is that really a life? So at the same time that these conversations are happening, Finn and Bridget are working really hard to triple check Eric's diagnosis. We already saw Finn with the papers, and they're trying to figure out if there's something they can do, if there's something that's off, can they save him? But I wonder if Ridge is going to give them the time to do what they can to find out what they need to find out, or if he will jump the gun with the excuse of Dad asked me to do it. So the spoilers make it sound like literally no one else is with Ridge on this, and if Brooke is opposed, then that's pretty bad because she is his one-woman fan club. By Friday the 15th, official B&B spoilers say Eric's condition takes a serious nosedive, and Bridget and Finn are racing desperately to save him, and the drama stretches into the following week as well. It looks like we've got, life and death. Will he die or won't he die action right up until Christmas. It would be pretty insane if Ridge pulls the plug on him again and Eric survives again. That might get a little awkward at the Christmas party and New Year's Eve, because I do think this is not going to be fatal. The first time Ridge yanked the plug, Eric wasn't happy, but now I think he might be counting on him to do it. So we'll see. But, what a painful decision to have to make, especially with everyone else in the family advocating for Ridge to not do it. And I've said this several times recently, but I am increasingly convinced that, Eric's not going to die. And not because of John McCook's 3-year contract. That is fake news. Please stop dropping in the comments that he has one. This has been utterly debunked. The writer for the trashy tabloid that started all that admitted she lied. She even wrote a blog about it on Medium, named and shamed the website that made her do it and that spread it around, and revealed that she quit over it. So no, there's no contract. Nobody, just stop. So I don't think Eric is dying, not necessarily because of that, because they can fire you even if you have a contract or not, but he doesn't have one. So at least not a new one. I don't think Eric is dying because all signs point to a Christmas miracle, and it seems likely Finn's going to pull out the save. If Eric does live, we can see it as one of two things. One, B&B was just yanking our chains, getting the viewers all worked up about something and then backing off and revealing they basically wasted months of worrying when they weren't going to kill him. Another way to see it is that they delivered drama without killing off a legacy character. But for me, up until recently, whichever way it is, it's been very poorly written. Weeks of painfully repetitive dialogue. The lack of diagnosis was just ridiculous. And then them giving a half-assed diagnosis in passing. But as of when they had the party at Eric's house leading up to his collapse, I am much more invested now. I am now on board, interested in this. I'm still a little frustrated that they're using vague language, but I'm finally getting into it. But that is diminished somewhat because just of the weeks of painful repeat scenes. So let me know what you think. Is Ridge gonna pull the plug on Eric? And should the Forrester patriarch have entrusted this huge decision in Ridge rather than Thorne or someone else that might be a little more trustworthy and might have a little less reason to do it, career-wise and stuff like that? Drop your comments. Please click subscribe if you haven't, and definitely come back soon because we are here talking B&B 7 days a week. And as always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.